Thank you. Now call Alec Rowley to be followed by Chick Brodie.
Presiding Officer, I would begin by wanting to associate myself with the comments of Willie Coffey. Earlier I agreed with the majority of what Willie said, but in particular he congratulated all children, all pupils across Scotland in terms of where they're at in education and the successes that they're having, their parents and all those involved in schools, teachers and all the staff in schools, because I think it is important that we recognise that teachers and staff are working under a lot of pressure. I should say that one of my own daughters is a secondary school teacher, and I know the amount of work that they do, not just in school but in the evenings and the weekends, and that's true of the teaching profession right across Scotland, so we should recognise that. Education authorities are under an immense amount of pressure. But I believe that actually the more we can localise and take the powers down from central government into local education authorities and actually into the schools, into the classrooms, empowering parents as well, then the more successful we will be. Audit Scotland, the 2014 report, point out that council spending on education has reduced by 5% in real terms between 2010-11 and 2012-13, and that has put a major pressure. I was looking at Fife's education budget, and I was looking at their budget for 2009-10 up to 2012-13. It was the previous administration to the one that I was in, that was a coalition between the Lib Dems and the SNP. But if you look at some of the cuts that they were making here, devolved school budgets, over £2.5 million cut out them in 2010-13 in primary schools, that was. Support staff in primary schools being cut, removal of free bottles of water to primary 1, withdrawal of swimming lessons, study support funding for primary schools. And you go through it and there's a list, some £30-odd million of cuts that was taken out of those years for those schools, and you can see therefore the type of pressure that education authorities are in. I know that as a council leader previously, the chief executive of the council and the director of finance of the council was always keen to stress to me that education was not protected and that the education budget was not protected and therefore had to have its share of the cuts. And we know that local government are facing some horrendous cuts, and I think if we're going to have this discussion and this debate, we need to be honest about the types of pressure that our education system is under. I wouldn't, for example, agree with Liz Smith on a lot of the points that she makes in terms of comprehensive education and where she would want to see that go. But what I do agree with her on is that we need to think out the box. I think Liz Smith talked about the spirit of free thinking, but we do need to be able to think out the box and look at education, because the fact is that whilst we're doing the best we can, we have to do a lot better. Our education system in Scotland has to do a lot better if we are seriously going to reach the point where every child is able to reach their potential. And that's not just the kids that are getting few exam passes at the present time. It's also the kids that are doing well, but actually could be doing a lot better if they had more support there. So it's right across the education system in Scotland. We should be doing much better, and we need to do much better. As I said, in listening to Angela Constance, what struck me is actually the lack of ambition. We talk about poverty, but the Scottish Government actually lacks an up-to-date anti-poverty strategy. And surely, if we're going to tackle inequality and poverty, then it's not just going to be done through the school. Indeed, it cannot be done simply through the school and through the education system. It's got to be done through all aspects of Scottish life. And every bit of government in here and every bit of government running through into local government has got to be joined up to tackle poverty. I was thinking, as Angela Constance was speaking, some years ago when I visited a Home Start
project up in Benarty, which is in my constituency, and the workers there were explaining to me that without their intervention and their support, there would be some kids still in nappies when they were going to the primary school. Now, that's social breakdown, it's family breakdown. There are the root causes of poverty and deprivation, and the impacts of poverty and deprivation need an injection of support and cash, and need projects through the community planning partnerships to tackle inequality and poverty at that level. You can't simply say that the schools are able to do so. Cara Hilton spoke earlier about Fife, and you would expect me to endorse what she had to say. But I remember the time I visited Benarty Primary School, and the kids came through and gave me some toast and tea. It was in the morning, early morning meeting. And the head teacher explained to me that the teachers were going out and buying the bread and then making the tea, and the kids were involved in it. And for some children, just getting a slice of toast and a cup of tea in the morning, the contribution that was making to their education, because if they were sitting there in the school absolutely starving, then they were hardly likely to be focused on learning and education. And it struck me, and one of the things that we actually did in Fife at that time was we started to put pockets of money, small amounts of money, £10,000, into primary schools, those in the highest deprivation areas, measured through free school meals. We started to put that money in so that the head teachers could use that money at the local level for them to decide how they would improve numeracy and literacy and tackle inequality. And at that level, it can make the difference. So actually, the more money and the more resources, and if you look at Fife, and I will send the Minister what was done here, in Fife over the last number of years, we started to put more money and reverse some of those cuts and classroom assistants and others, and put money and investment into IT. I visited Cownbeath Primary School just a number of weeks ago to look at what the investment had been that was put into IT had achieved there.
I'm afraid you need to close, please.
And in that school, you had young children learning computers, talking a language that certainly I didn't know. The lessons are that we need to put more resources in, we need to recognise the issues that are there, we need to empower education authorities, and if we can do that, then we can move forward.
Thank you very much.